Honestly, it is a technique that professional makeup artists have been using for years and years and years. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome or welcome back to my YouTube channel, which is all about beauty. Today's video is really special because should you apply your contouring underneath foundation or should you apply it over foundation? We're going to find out in this video today. I know which side I prefer, but let's see which side you guys prefer. I'm going to do one side with my contouring under foundation and the other side of my face with contouring over foundation. So before we do head into the video, if you like this video, please do give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit the bell button so that you never miss any of my future videos. You guys subscribing and leaving your feedback really helps me to create better content for you guys. So thank you so much. You can also catch me over on Instagram where you can follow me for daily beauty news. Now let's jump straight into the video. Okay, so we're gonna get started. Please do excuse my hair. I've just come back from the salon. I had a protein treatment done. I've never had it done before, but it feels like a bit thick and fluffy at the moment, but apparently it's going to be amazing when I wash it the next time, so let's wait and see. Anyway, moving on with this video. This is going to be really exciting because I know which side I would prefer. I haven't done it yet, obviously. All I've got is my concealer on my under eye area because that's something I always put on before my foundation. If you are questioning that method, then there is a video just for that, whether you should put your concealer underneath foundation or on top of foundation. So you can go head over and watch that before you watch this if you like. Now, we are going to be talking about contouring before foundation or after foundation. So I always prefer my contouring to be done underneath my foundation because I feel like it gives me more of a soft focus effect. I do that on my clients as well. Honestly, it is a technique that professional makeup artists have been using for years and years and years. And it looks amazing. So anyway, let's get started. On this side, I'm going to be doing my contour above my foundation, so on top of my foundation. On this side, I'm going to be doing my contour underneath my foundation. So I already know I like that side, but let's move on. I've got my concealer on, like I said, on my under eye area. Now I'm going to use a dark concealer for my contouring because that's what I prefer to use as my contour. If you guys prefer using an actual contour stick or a contour cream from a palette, then that's fine, you guys go for it, but I prefer using a concealer. I just find it blends really well, and you've got a much bigger variety of shades to choose from. So I feel like with actual contour palettes and contour sticks, they can be a little bit too kind of cool toned. You don't have enough warm toned contour products around, so that's why I like to use a concealer, and plus it blends really well. So I'm going to use the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer, and I'm using the color, it's going to pop up right here somewhere up here because I don't even know, is it cocoa? I don't know, it's not spelled like cocoa. So contouring, I'm not going to really talk too in depth about how I'm contouring, like technical side of contouring, because I feel like I've done a video on that already recently. So let's just focus on what we're actually talking about today, which is whether it looks better underneath or on top of foundation. So I'm going to go over and do this side first. This side is the side that I'm going to put the contouring first and then go over with my foundation. So I'm going to start by just applying this product in all the areas that I feel like contouring and just kind of like disguising or just reshaping really. It's always hard to do the nose when you're doing kind of half, like half a face one style and half the other side in another style because it's just such a small area. So I'm going to get my Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Complexion brush. I love using that brush to just blend the contour in. And I'm going to start blending it in. This section here, I'm going to blend this into the hairline. I've put this here because I want to kind of like give my... you know what? To be honest, I don't feel like I contour in these places because that didn't even come out right. I'm not contouring in these places so much for kind of changing the shape of my face. I do really like how it gives my face depth. So I like that really nice warm perimeter around the face. I just like that style. It's really about what you kind of like as well. It's not, for me, it's not so much about, oh God, I really want to make my forehead look like I don't have an issue with my forehead. I don't think, oh my God, it's so big. So I'm not like that concerned about making anything look smaller. It's more so about kind of definition. So I'm just kind of buffing this in. I like to keep the contour in the same place, so I don't like to kind of change the shape as I'm buffing it. Okay, so now I'm going to flip the brush over so that I can just kind of buff in the nose contour that I've done. Contouring for me isn't just about using a dark shade, it is about using a much lighter shade as well. So just as the dark shade helps to disguise areas and kind of like define them, the lighter shade helps to kind of enhance areas. So you've got one shade kind of like pulling things in and like drawing it in, and the other shade kind of like, you know, making the surface area look a bit brighter, possibly a little bit bigger with the light reflecting off of that much lighter shade. So therefore I use a much lighter concealer as well as my contouring. So I'm going to use this shade here, which is Chantilly, and I'm going to apply this on areas that I just want to kind of like enhance. Now the areas that I've actually applied this is not for any kind of coverage whatsoever, although I'm using a concealer so it does give you some kind of coverage. I'm not doing it for the coverage. I love the colors when it comes to concealers. That's why I use concealers. I don't really feel like I can ever find the right shade in a contour stick or cream. So I much prefer using this. So I'm gonna use the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Complexion brush again. I'm using the smaller side now, and I'm basically just gonna start kind of buffing this in, and you'll see how this leaves that really nice brightness. And like I said, this isn't, I'm not doing this for any coverage. You know, I haven't applied it on a large enough surface area in order for it to actually give me coverage. This is just for very clever contouring. So this gives me a lift here. This kind of lifts this area and brightens it a little bit, because I always find that area like slightly darker for me. Also, this area I always find a little bit too dark, so it helps to just kind of like brighten it up a bit for me. And then this area here, I always feel just gives that, it just makes my eyebrow pop a bit more. I mean, realistically, everywhere that I've applied this much lighter shade isn't going to really give me any coverage, because even though it does, concealer gives you coverage, I mean, those are not the areas that I would want any coverage. This whole area here is where I need coverage. So that's why I applied my concealer on first, and I used my concealer as a concealer where I need that extra coverage. This is just for kind of like shaping the face and contouring. Okay, so this side we have contoured, and I'm gonna actually apply my foundation on now, but I'm gonna take that foundation all the way over to this side afterwards, because we're gonna go on top on this side with the contouring and then see what that looks like. So I've got my foundation, and I'm just kind of like buffing that into my sponge. And I'm just gonna do this half first. So I'm gonna start buffing my foundation over, and this is the part where I get a lot of people saying, I wouldn't say a lot, but you know, some people commenting saying, all you've done is just cover it up. No, I haven't, because you don't know what it looks like without any contour, and I do. You know, I know what just a veil of foundation is gonna look like on the skin, and it's gonna look extremely flat. Like, as a professional makeup artist, why am I gonna just apply something if it doesn't do anything? And I know there are so many of you. Honestly, I love your comments, and you guys are going away and trying these techniques and it's working for you, and you're telling me all your stories about how, you know, your other half noticed your makeup and said, oh my God, you look stunning, or you're getting loads of compliments from friends and family, and it makes me feel so happy. And someone messaged me, honestly, I repost some of your messages on my Instagram stories. Make sure you do follow me on Instagram, because I really do love kind of hearing from you guys over there too. Someone messaged me saying, I don't know if it was like Christmas Eve or New Year's Eve, and she said that she was waiting in a queue and she tried my technique, and then this really young girl came up to her and was like, oh my God, your foundation looks flawless. And she had used my technique, and she just messaged me to say thank you. And it was just so sweet. It makes me so happy to know that everywhere I'm trying, like what I'm trying to do with this channel is working. We're creating a movement. People are actually so educated on makeup application for themselves, and I want to make you the best makeup artist for yourself, for your own face, and I feel like it's working. It just makes me happy. So I'm gonna take this under here. I'm gonna go over half my nose. Don't ask me how I am gonna do this, but you know, we're gonna try our best. I always go over this section here and then I go over the darker shades after. So I actually do drag this on this bit, I don't buff it because I really need to kind of like make sure that that contour goes into the kind of neck area. Okay, so I'm gonna go over to the other side because we can't set this until right at the end, and then we're gonna see how this all looks. So I'm gonna just apply my foundation all over. So I'm gonna start the same way, just apply it on my forehead. And this way you'll actually be able to tell whether, you know, whether the foundation actually just does cover everything up or whether you can still see that contour coming through. Because then you'll be able to see what it looks like with no contour on this side and then contour on the other side. So I think we've more or less got foundation everywhere here. Okay, so there you go. This is obviously before we've applied any contour on this side yet. So this is kind of like the first step of me wanting you to see the difference. But like basically answering the question, does your foundation just cover up all your contour or does any of it actually come through? Like, does it make a difference? I think it does. I really do hope you can see it in the camera in the video, because I can see how, you can see that contour coming through there. You can see that kind of really nice, it's got that really nice defined cheekbone there. We've got the warmth around the hairline. Also, you can see that the jawline here, it has that slight shadow here, so it gives it more of a kind of nice defined jawline. Then you've got this side. Okay, you've got shadow there because that's a natural shadow, but it's not actually like this is really nice, like that. This is like kind of, you know, it's not that great. And also there's no cheekbone. You can't see the definition there, not the way that you can here. Look at that. I mean, this is what I can see when I'm looking in the flip screen. And yeah, and you can see the brightness. I'm so glad. Not that I didn't think it worked, because obviously I won't be doing it all this time, but you know, now this will show the people who seem to think that foundation just covers everything up. If you're going to use a full coverage foundation on top of contour, then obviously, yeah, it's going to cover everything up, but you don't. That's the whole point. You are clever about the products that you use, the textures that you use, and that way I get to have a nice soft focus finish which doesn't look muddy and doesn't look patchy. So yeah, I really like that. You can see all the brightness in all those areas that we applied it. I feel like it's just in all the right places. That contour is still coming through and I don't have to worry about applying it on top. So that's done. Let's start applying the contour on top of the foundation. I'm going to do it in exactly the same way. So I'm gonna apply it where I know that I applied it before. Exactly the same places. I'm not saying that this is the wrong way, by the way. I'm just saying that it gives you more of a patchy, obvious finish to the skin, whereas I feel like the way that I like to apply my contouring underneath foundation, I feel like it's a soft focus finish. But there will be people out there who actually like a more obvious finish. I don't know why, but you know, there are people out there who like that. So if that's the case, fair play. So I'm gonna blend this in the same way I did before. So I'm just gonna blend this into the skin. And I'm not gonna do like a shoddy job. I am gonna do it properly because, you know, it's not about which is right or wrong. It's about for me, what side do you prefer, you know? And I know I already prefer the other side because I just like a less obvious finish. And I find that this, when you put contouring on top of foundation, it can be really muddy. You know when you get really close to people who wear full makeup and then you're like, oh my God, you know, all you can focus on is the contouring because it's so obvious and you can see all those lines where it hasn't been blended in properly. That's how I feel like this side looks. In the camera, you may not be able to tell, but it looks very, like, I would be so embarrassed going out like this because as a makeup artist, if this is how I do my face, and I blended it properly as well. Like, I don't want to spend any extra time blending. If you're going to do one technique over the other, you shouldn't have to spend more time on it. I didn't spend more time because you're still adding the same things. It's just about what order you're applying them in. And this, I shouldn't have to spend more time blending this. So, you know, anyway, I feel like I've been sunburned. That's how I feel I look here. Like I've been sunburned in a really bad way. So anyway, that's done. We're gonna apply the lighter shade now. Apply them in the same areas. Okay, so yeah, I am really not feeling this side. I'm just gonna have to flip the brush a bit to blend it because it just looks so patchy. And also, I know that people may use different products to me, so maybe it works out absolutely fine by using a contour palette for yourself, in which case, great. I can only show you one way. So, well, one way in one video. And again, some people probably use sponges for this bit. I want to keep it fair, so I'm using the same, what? Seriously? So I'm using the same tool that I used on the other side? No. This isn't, this, and again, this is, I'm not saying that, you know, you should not, like this, anyone who does it like this is what it's going to look like, because obviously maybe you'll put a lot less product on than me, but I'm trying to make it very fair. And yeah, so I'm doing everything the same, but I'm just putting foundation either underneath or on top. And I don't like this side. This looks muddy. And I feel like even if I were to apply a smaller amount of product, I still feel like it's gonna look muddy. So anyway, that's done. We're gonna set this now and see what this looks like once it's been set. Now, very quickly, I'm just gonna get rid of these creases first, and I'll do that on both sides because I want it to be fair. And then I'm gonna set it as I would usually set it. So we're gonna go in with my powder, and I'm just gonna like press this in. Whoa, I had quite a lot that came out on that sponge just there. I didn't actually mean for that much to come out. I'm gonna do the same on this side. So I've just done the under eyes. I'm just gonna very lightly go over the rest of the face. Just a little bit on the forehead. And then what I like to do is just dust it off. And then I get a smaller brush to dust off from the under eye area. Okay, so I've just added things like my lower lash mascara and some lipstick. I haven't added anything else to the face, like no bronzer, no blush, because I want to just keep that completely just nothing on other than what we've just done. So I want you to see what the difference is. So let me just sit still for you so you guys can kind of like really analyze what's going on. As you can see on this side, we've got the contour which has been done underneath the foundation, and I feel like this looks kind of like really nice and soft. The contour is still coming through. If I wanted to go out with any bronzer on, without any bronzer, and I feel like I can, or without any powder contour, I feel like I can, and it doesn't look flat. I've got some shape to my face. I've defined the areas that I wanted to define, and I've highlighted the areas that I wanted to highlight. Like I've got that slight lift here. I've got the brightness in all those areas, and it doesn't look so dark in those areas now where I applied the lighter shade. Then I've got this side here, which, you know, maybe we can zoom in a bit so you guys can see, but it's really patchy and muddy, and I don't like the look of it. Like you can really see the separation of the product. I know it's defined, but honestly, if you were standing right here close to me, you would be like, how do you don't know how to do your own makeup? This is really not good. It's really patchy, and it's just really muddy, and it's not a good look. I feel like if you want, who doesn't want a nice flawless finish? Who doesn't want a soft focus effect? Like no one, I don't know anyone who would really want it to look patchy and muddy. So ultimately, I know that you can still apply your contouring over your foundation if you want, and you won't get necessarily this finish, but I've done it based on how I would apply my contouring underneath my foundation. And I do feel like this is just really a bit too much for me. Like I wouldn't feel comfortable going out like that. It just looks really wrong to me. So yeah, you could use a lot less product and maybe it will work for you, but I feel like may still look muddy and patchy, but it's really a case of your application and your technique as well. So you may still prefer this finish and just go with less product and it could work for you, which is great. But I personally prefer this side. I feel like another thing that I'm going to tell you is another reason I like doing it this way is it stays put. I know nothing's going to fade. Everything stays put. So yeah, I like this side. Tell me what side you guys prefer. Let me know in the comments box below. But yeah, so hopefully now you can see which side you would prefer. Contour on top of foundation or contour underneath foundation. Well, there you go. I hope you've enjoyed this video and I hope you guys have figured out which side you prefer as well. Now, if you have any questions, let me know in the comments box below, and all of the products that I used are in the description box. So if you like this video, please do give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit the bell button so that you never miss any of my future videos. Until the next video, take care and I'll see you soon.